Well, it's Melbourne Derby time in the Big Bash, Stars versus Renegades, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Ben Duckett. Ben, good to see you. Welcome to the MCG. You must love playing here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I've only played here once, but obviously even from England you hear incredible things about this ground, and just standing here and looking around, it's pretty epic.
Now, the Melbourne Stars, obviously you've joined them this year. You've played in the Big Bash before with the Brisbane Heat, but how have you found your time with the Stars so far?
Oh, I've loved it. From start to finish, I think when you go into franchise stuff, I think it can be tricky, and getting to know the lads kind of and getting the swing of things. And obviously I missed the first couple of games, so that's important. And from the first day, the lads were incredible, welcoming. I've got my missus and little one out here, and they're all helping me with all the bags that we've brought over from New Zealand, and those small things go a long way for an overseas player. So yeah, it's a great place to be.
Now, we mentioned you've been at the Heat, now at the Stars. I want to ask you about your form, because you've been in some pretty good form with the bat. Not the game you wanted last game, but a bit of an unlucky dismissal down the leg side. A couple of 50s though, that must be nice.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing as an overseas coming over is you want to contribute, and sadly they weren't contributing to wins, but form is really important, and trying to start well, and especially it's been a slightly different one for me, obviously getting 2 first ballers and then 2 60s, but I wouldn't change it, because I like to think when I get in I can impact a game. So yeah, I feel good. So yeah, hopefully I'm back to the 60s today and not a first baller.
Now, you play all formats of cricket. T20 cricket, what's particularly important for you and your batting in this format of the game?
I think for me it's just knowing and understanding my game. It's very different to a lot of the power hitters of T20 cricket. I can't just walk out there and hit the ball 10 rows back. I've got to find ways to score at a decent rate and do it my way. And however that may be, it can be different on different days. Some days on a good pitch I can play kind of strong shots like I would in a test match or a 50 over game and get off to a flyer. On other days I might have to be innovative and get my scoops out, or reverse sweeps against spin. But it's kind of a low risk game, because I try and stick to the areas that I've practiced over so many years.
And adjusting to the Australian pitches, you mentioned reading a pitch. How have you found that this summer?
Yeah, it is so different. I think the lucky thing for me was the test tour before in New Zealand. They were fast bouncy pitches, so that actually probably helped me transition into it a little bit better coming over here. I think I've had a Big Bash here before with the Brisbane Heat, and so it's not completely alien to me. I knew what to expect, and I had my own kind of game plan coming out here. But all these pitches are so different. Generally they bounce more than England, but some of them can be a little bit slower. Some of them can be really quick, so you have to adapt on different days.
Now, before we get into your stance and actually go through some of your batting, the Big Bash in general as a tournament, do you enjoy the vibe of the competition?
Yeah, I think it's great. I know we've just brought in the 100 in England, which is probably a very similar comp, and they've probably taken a lot of ideas from the Big Bash, the way there's so many kids at the ground watching the game, which is I love to see it. It's amazing seeing young kids here aspiring to be the players out in the middle, and playing at such incredible grounds in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people is amazing.
All right, Ben, let's get into your stance. So Ben, T20 cricket, how do you set up in your stance?
I've always tried to be pretty similar to every format. I've always wanted to keep it the basics really simple and not change through the different formats. The one thing I've added in T20 cricket is occasionally triggering, and that might be different on some days, but I find especially out here on the fast pitches, it gets my feet going.
So Ben, that's your stance. Let's talk into areas of the ground that you're looking at. Obviously a pretty good square of the wicket. Is that a key focus for you?
Well, I think it is most places I go in the world, but you obviously come to Australia where the grounds, you only have to look over here how big they are, square of the wicket. Something that I've probably tried to do a bit more coming out here is actually try and see the ground before I go out to bat. In England, the first time I see the crease, or there might be when I walk out to bat. I know the ground so well. I know the areas I want to hit. I think out here it's important to, I can see little parts of the ground where I might be able to, okay, that's an area where I can hit it for 6, or they're pockets that I can hit it to when we get out the power play, let's say. So I do think these grounds, you have to have a slightly bigger game plan to, let's say in England, when you can hit 6s whenever you want throughout the game. You certainly have to be a little bit smarter out here for someone the way that I play, who can't just clear long on to an 80-metre boundary.
Now the switch hit, or the reverse sweep, however you want to call it, it seems like it's a pretty good shot that you can play. Do you want to talk us through how you play that shot?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a shot I've played for many years now, and I actually don't play it as much now because spinners kind of try and cut off that part of the ground. I've probably gone through slightly different versions of it and added to the repertoire over the years, because it started off with maybe a deep cover, then they'd move him there. So I'm always trying to look at where the fielder is before I kind of decide which one I'm going to play. For starters, they'd probably have a deep backward point for me, so that's when I started trying to switch round and play the one over cover. And vice versa. If they've got the one at cover, that's when I want to try and get it elevated and get it slightly finer. So for me, the biggest thing is, I always tell people, is try and get your head over the ball. A lot of people sometimes play it and they lift their head up. I get all my power from the position I'm in with my head over the ball. And then, as you would with any other shot, look where the fielders are and then go from there. Yeah, I mean, the one I'd normally play would be kind of bang, which would be hard along there. And then the other one would be kind of trying to open up and go over cover. My English teammate Jacob Beffers walking past.
And that's how you play a forward defence?
Yeah, my forward defence. Yeah, but it's the main thing for me is trying to, as you see there, I'm getting in a low position. I see sometimes people playing it kind of from here, and that's when you'll lose all your power and the ball might go up in the air. Everyone plays a normal sweep in that position, like from high to low with your hands, and I just try and do the exact same when I'm reversing.
And for you, is there a shot that when you're playing well, you can execute very well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for my game now is, I've played for years and people have set fields and they've kind of tried to cut off my strengths. So for me, if I'm playing well, I know if I'm hitting straight, that's when I must be in good positions, because it's not a shot that I used to play. But, when spin bowls to me now and they've got the straight man up, I only have to get half of it. And especially when here, for example, where it's a bit shorter straight, it might be a shot that I didn't really play a couple of years ago, but I'll be trying to do a bit more here.
Well, Ben, great to see you. Thanks for talking for us today. Good luck for the rest of the tournament, and we hope you make some runs tonight.
Thank you very much.